David Lammy is potentially causing a war for the United States of America and is so now supportive of China, he might as well change his name to Xi Jinping's boyfriend. Okay, this is a video about potential for war and how the British will be complicit in doing it under Keir Starmer and David Lammy. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Well, I made a video saying that Keir Starmer potentially spied for the Soviet Union. Then I made a video yesterday saying that Keir Starmer had was potentially guilty of espionage in the United States of America. And this video very nearly became Keir Starmer is committing espionage for the People's Republic of China. I didn't do that because it wasn't strictly true and I'd have got slagged off for clickbait, and that's the best way to lose subscribers. But I have to say, what David Lammy and Keir Starmer are doing with regards to the United States of America is incredibly dangerous. It is the greatest threat, I would suggest, to Britain's national security, probably since the Falklands, and certainly the United States of America risks a war with China if Keir Starmer and David Lammy continue. Now, I think we all know that David Lammy is a moron and probably is doing what he's doing because he genuinely believes in decolonisation and is stupid enough to believe that the Chagos Islands belong to Mauritius. They don't. They're nowhere near each other. But anyway, I think Keir Starmer is a lot more dangerous. Keir Starmer loves the idea of international justice, and there has been a ruling by one of the international courts to say the Chagos Islands should go to Mauritius, a country that has no interest in the place until China made it a vassal state, and also the ruling itself has no force in UK law, or indeed in anybody else's law. But they're determined to give it to Mauritius. Just before we start, just to be very clear, I'm going to make a video about this war that will potentially happen as a result of what Lammy and Starmer are doing and how Trump is going to attempt to stop it. It's not going to be a complicated foreign policy video that's going to blow your mind and take an hour to do. It's going to be relatively quick. Okay, so the first and most important thing, what do all these things have in common? The Uyghurs being put in concentration camps by Xi Jinping, the invasion of Greenland, the issue with the Chagos Islands, and finally electric cars. So let's say what they've all got in common. They've all got in common Taiwan and the invasion of Taiwan and the way that China is determined to do it. Now, there are three things that prevent the invasion of Taiwan. First of all, they're the inability of China to get oil and the fact that oil comes from the Middle East. And those are two ways, via Uyghur, where they're attempting to build a pipeline, and via around the hook of India, if you like, which is where Diego Garcia and the Chagos Islands sit in their way of any oil tankers. The other thing that prevents them is American naval might moving through the Panama Canal. So here is what China has done. They've detained a huge number of Uyghur Muslims who are opposing that pipeline so they can put the pipeline into the Middle East. The next thing that they're doing is that they've taken over effectively Panama and made Panama a vassal state. That's to stop American military ships getting through the Panama Canal and also to choke off the United States of America in a military blockade, which is something that could be extremely damaging if there were to be a standoff between the United States of America and China. Also, what they are attempting to do is potentially stop the United States of America from using that other way of getting from one side of the country to the other, which is north of Canada, virtually in the Arctic Circle, but in the territorial waters of Greenland. So if you can't go via Panama, you have to go via Greenland. And so that is the interest in Greenland. And of course, the interest in electric cars is very simply this. The main problem, as I said, with Taiwan is China's lack of oil. And so if you can get bozos in the West to use electric cars, which are all based on cobalt, which China dominates the production of, or the mining of, then what you can then do is sell them the cobalt at a big high price and take their oil. The Middle East is pumping more oil than when the whole green thing started. But here is the critical thing that I'm extremely worried about. David Lammy is attempting to give the Chagos Islands to Mauritius before Donald Trump becomes president on the 20th of January. Everybody knows the United States of America are furious about this. Everybody knows that they're giving back the Chagos, shouldn't say that. Giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, even I am following the narrative now. giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius is going to make it much more likely that Taiwan is invaded, and the United States of America will then attempt to blockade China. They'll find it harder if they don't have the Panama Canal, and that the Uyghurs don't stop the oil pipeline, and they don't have the Chagos Islands to stop them. I think that this is where we are teetering on the brink of disaster, and we've got to do something about it. And for David Lammy to decide that he wants to sign this deal just in the days before Donald Trump's going to get in is crazy. And I think the thing is, my view is that Donald Trump should invade the Chagos Islands. Sorry, when I say invade, once again, it's a stupid phrase. I want to explain to you, nobody from Mauritius lives there. It's nowhere near Mauritius. It's never been part of Mauritius. And yet they want to give it to them. Because, of course, what they know is that then the American military base will be handed to China in the fullness of time. The Mauritians have already asked for more money to rent the base. So hang on a second. So we give them the Chagos Islands, which they've never owned, and then we have to rent back the base, and they're complaining about the amount of rent that we're paying. The people of the Chagos Islands, by the way, who were moved out to make way for the military base, they are very angry, and they want to be an independent country. So maybe we should let them be an independent country, or maybe we should make them British protectorate. Oh, sorry, they already are. Let's do that. But we could move people back to some of the Chagos Islands, and maybe not Diego Garcia. By the way, the Chagos Island population was diminishing anyway when we built Diego Garcia, simply because of the economic problems of being stuck virtually in the middle of nowhere. Because, of course, whilst being in the middle of nowhere is a strategically good thing, because it's right in the middle of a shipping route, if you are trying to do normal economics, it can be an absolute nightmare. So I think that what is happening now is very simply this. I think Donald Trump has sorted out the problem with Panama. That is to say that I said on this channel, well, what will Donald Trump do? He won't invade Greenland. What he'll do is that he will attempt to do a deal with them. They said that we don't want to be part of the United States of America. We don't want to be bought. We don't want to be sold. We don't want to be invaded. But we are willing to do a military deal. They will give a sovereign base to the United States of America in Greenland. You will know the sovereign bases, by the way, because many of you will have driven through Kyrenia or Decalia in Cyprus. Do you know, if you're going from Larnaca to Ayia, you have to drive through Decalia. Decalia is effectively a country. Which is, no, it's Aquitaine Decalia, but Decalia is one I know because my brother lived in Ayia. It is effectively a separate country. It is a British overseas territory which only has military people there. But that is what the United States of America will do. That's what the Chagos Islands are at the moment. And I think that if we can stop David Lammy from giving the Chagos Islands, then we prevent this invasion of Taiwan. But for him to sign the deal in the days before Donald Trump becomes president in order to stop him being able to stop it, I think that is a dastardly thing to do by the United Kingdom, and it is so dangerous. But look, let's just be clear. I'm sick of hearing this from Keir Starmer. Equal but different. Still sounds like Nelson Mandela. Okay, but equal but different. The reality is the Chinese don't want democracy. They don't want rule of law. They don't want property rights. They don't want freedom of speech. They don't want any of those things. What they want is to have all these international bodies, like the World Health Organization, the UN, the International Criminal Court, have all of them and dominate all of them and use their power across the world. We are idiots in this country to genuinely believe that these people will play fairly. They will not play fairly. And so we need to start defending our own interests. You know, David Lammy, I thought, was a disgrace at the UN when he started talking about slavery vis-a-vis the invasion of Ukraine. Now, I will tell you, there are lots of things that the Ukrainian war is about, but that transatlantic slave trade has nothing to do with it. Similarly, it was like Keir Starmer when he said, we need the sausages back. Right, sausages are made of pork. The only one thing that the people of Gaza and the people of Israel agree on is they don't want sausages. That sausages have got nothing to do with it. But actually, it's this simplistic and stupid view of the world that's dangerous. There is a battle for resources. We left Africa and the Chinese moved in and recolonized it. That's what's happened. Chagos Islands are required to protect Taiwan and enable a blockade of China if necessary for oil. We need to be buying oil and control the supply because we don't want to be reliant on cobalt from China. They've got us to shut down our own production. You saw all these reports about there only being a week's worth of gas. There's only ever 10 days worth of gas, 2 weeks at the most, because gas is big and it requires storage, which is very, very difficult to do. But it's not a problem that it's difficult to store gas when you're producing it yourself. But what we've done is shut down our own local production in order to buy from abroad, making ourselves, I mean, look, a blockade of the United Kingdom, similar to what happened in World War II. How long would it last? 10 days before we surrendered? 4 weeks probably? Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's go with 2 months before the United Kingdom had to surrender. That'd be the end of it. Similarly, you are going to move all of the oil production then. It will all be taken to China because the Chagos Islands have surrendered. Then we have decided that Greenland is not going to work with the United States of America. Therefore, they can't sail their ships from one side of their country to the other because the Panama Canal has been closed. That is the future. We are on the side of the enemy. Now that, I would suggest to you, is something that you're pretty used to if you've seen the behaviour of this government in its first 6 months. But you know, there's a big difference between sending the police in like the Stasi to try and shut your free speech down and literally causing a war. And I will tell you, David Lammy is causing a war. He is useless. But I don't think that Starmer is useless. I think that he is malicious. And I say to you that I think there is now a significant danger with all of this, and Donald Trump is going to have to correct it. I think all he can do is to deal with Greenland. Then I think he's got to invade the Chagos Islands. It would have been easier if we didn't sign the deal 5 days before Donald Trump comes into office. Just delay Starmer. Just delay Lammy. They're not going to do it because they want the bad guys to win, as ever. Until next time, goodbye.